found a tube, and the minute I opened it, the smell transported me through time.
This one's wife. As ever, hotel. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. First, we had American Riviera Orchard, the brand that never actually went anywhere whatsoever. It then, having been shot and thrown in a shallow grave, resurrected as ever, or was never, or a sever, or as if, or a variety of permutations. So far, this brand, and I use that description in the most elastic of senses, has provided grift boxes to various celebrities and famous people, has not allowed anybody to purchase anything, purportedly sold out within 45 minutes, had honey available except it wasn't available, has never restocked, was not going to be restocked for some time as this one's wife took a step back to consider and reflect on how she had done, and then decided that she was going to be restocking soon. In marketing parlance, this is all described as a cluster fuck. And the reason why it's so haphazard is, as I have explained to you so many times, and still some people continue not to get it, because this one's wife always operates in the moment for the pursuit of the prime aims. That means right now, her narcissism will direct her to tell you that it's going to be restocked in order to provoke a reaction so that people show that they're under control, that she can nullify threats to control with the suggestion that it isn't going to restock and draw fuel by way of people's responses. This is also future faking. Her narcissism doesn't care about the actual delivery of restocking, simply in that particular moment, at that moment in time, that the prime aims were attended to. Then, in the next moment, it's forgotten about. She doesn't need to follow up on it or deliver. The narcissism is focused on something else. It can then cause her to announce some alternative brand that she's going to be involved in, because by making a separate announcement, it provokes a response, which again means that she gets fuel. She is not governed by consistency in the way that you might conduct your life. The only things that she is consistent in relation to are the prime aims. Accordingly, she is always consistent with regard to the pursuit of fuel, consistent with regard to the pursuit of control, character traits, and residual benefits. What she isn't consistent in relation to is relationships, finances, telling the truth, because all of those things bend around the things that she actually needs, the prime aims. She, driven by her narcissism, must attain those things. Those are the only constants in her life. So long as she gets control, relationships can be up and down. So long as she draws fuel, she can tell lies, she can tell the truth as people understand it to be. But as long as she gets those prime aims, everything else, relationships with family, relationships with friends, work, money, intimate relationships, whatever they might be, they are the flexible things sacrificed on the altar of the pursuit of the prime aims. Accordingly, this means that on Monday at 9 a.m, this one's wife will then make some announcement, and then by Tuesday it's forgotten about. And then on Wednesday she makes an alternative announcement, and then Thursday she returns to the original announcement. This flip-flopping is indicative of many narcissists, particularly those of the lesser and mid-range persuasion. And we see her at it again, because as Catherine Lawton, writing for the Mail, explains, this one's wife has plans to add hotels and restaurants to her as-ever lifestyle brand. Yeah. So this brand that hasn't sold anything, that has just delivered grift boxes, that hasn't been restocked, intends to move into hotels and restaurants. Presumably that means that a website will be created so that you can book to stay at a hotel that doesn't exist, and that you can make reservations at restaurant doesn't exist. Once again, the grandiosity of this one's wife, fueled by her narcissism, causes such an announcement to be made for the purposes of, that's right, the prime aims. It needs her to provoke reactions because reactions equal fuel, and fuel her lifeblood. It doesn't matter to her if there's no delivery because she has no conscience. She feels no shame. She's not embarrassed if you say to her, you said you were going to restock and you never did. She'll go, I never said that. She'll deny it because that's the first line of the twin lines of the narcissist defense. Or alternatively, she'll say, well, I intended to, but what happened was I was let down by the suppliers. They didn't do their job properly. Or I didn't say that. Marketing put that out without my authorization. Remember, it's never the narcissist's fault. She can never be accountable. And once again, we now have the suggestion that a brand that isn't really a brand, it is a Potemkin brand, is going to expand. How can it expand when it hasn't even got a suitable foundation with regard to the very thing that it's meant to be doing, which is the delivery of shitty spreads, gerbil food, and weak teas? Apparently, she's trademarking her brand for hospitality services, as reported by the Super Soaraway Sun newspaper. This will include places to stay, as well as temporary lodgings and provision of food and drink. She could dish up a selection of her own edible creations, incorporating recipes she featured on her recent 8-part cooking show with Love Meghan. Brand experts have claimed hotels and restaurants fit in nicely with the Duchess's business brand. No, they don't, because there isn't a business brand. All it is a vanity project. It comes after This One's Wife said in the first episode of her series, when I have someone stay, one of my favourite things to do is prep the guest room. It then talks about what the show told us, because basically there's not a lot more to tell you other than this apparent announcement that she's looking to expand into hotels and restaurants. Now, it might simply be that it is a standard trademark application that, as I understand it, she still hasn't, because she's a useless businesswoman who creates a podcast talking about business, or rather talking about herself, and then still doesn't secure the trademark in relation to this supposed business. It might just be the case that as a part of a standard application, one would include hospitality and a place to stay as part of that application, and therefore it's the case that the media has then stated, oh, she's going to add hotels and restaurants to the lifestyle brand, thus making a bit of a leap of logic. Or it might just be, and you can't rule this out, of course, in relation to the deluded magical thinking of This One's Wife, that she does intend at some point for the As Ever brand to encompass hotels and restaurants. Quite who would be providing the money for this? Because she won't. She won't invest in her own brand. She wants other people to do so. And one suspects that it's really not a case of her creating the expansion, but yet again, driven by her delusion, saying, I've created this brilliant brand called As Ever. It covers food, it covers hotels, it covers restaurants. Now give me $1 billion. That's what's behind it. The sole purpose of this is to create a brand leveraged off her infamy so that she can then go and sell it to somebody. You must need your head looking at if you were to ever invest in This One's Wife as a brand, where simply you're purchasing a concept and the name that she has created. You must be financially nuts to engage in such behaviour, because she's unpopular, it has no substance, and it hasn't achieved anything. Ordinarily, established businesses can factor in something for goodwill. She would have to knock something off because of the ill will that she experiences as a consequence of her incompetence. We'll have to see whether this actually occurs, but with most things related to This One's Wife, it's unlikely to happen. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.